With the LCG battery tray in the front, I'm able to angle the shock inwards, increasing the effective travel. Welcome to Bigson Hobbies. In my previous Axial SCX24 Gladiator video, I went out to my local testing ground to test my Gladiator after all the upgrades and the mods. The Gladiator now weighs 115 grams more than the stock at 384 grams, and it has much improved weight distribution at 55% front and 45% rear. After that video, I had gotten a few comments on ways to improve the weight distribution to get to or as close to 60-40 weight distribution that I normally shoot for on my crawlers. In my early Axial SCX24 Gladiator Ultimate Free Mods video, I had mentioned that I was going to have to make a decision on which direction I'll be taking the Gladiator, either to turn it into a rock crawler or scale trail truck that can climb. And as most have guessed on the comments, I was going to turn my Gladiator into a scale trail truck that can climb. But the comments got me thinking, so today I'm going to focus on few mods to help turn the Gladiator into a crawler in the hopes that it helps those that wants to take it in that route. And I'm going to focus on weight distribution and lowering the CG. Mod number 1, relocate the battery and the ESC. The stock battery weighs in 24.2 grams. The ESC weighs in 11.7 grams. Since the battery is quite a bit heavier than the ESC, I'm going to switch their location to give a bit more forward weight bias. I'm also going to leverage a 3D printed LCG battery tray, which will lower the battery as close to the chassis as possible, thus lowering the CG. One additional benefit of the 3D printed LCG battery tray is that it has a couple of shock mounting points, which will help lower the front end and at the same time increase the shock travel a bit. Additionally, I'm going to remove the current battery tray from the rear and instead use two-sided tape to mount the ESC in between the chassis rail, making sure that the rear links do not touch it. And lastly, I'm going to use a slightly bigger 400 milliamp 2S battery, which weighs 28.2 grams, and it will add a bit more weight to the front end. Mod number 2, remove the rooftop tent. The rooftop weighs 16.4 grams. It's not too heavy by itself, but it is unnecessary weight at the rear, and it sits high, hurting the center of gravity. In order to remove it, you simply remove 4 screws from the rear rack assembly. If you want to keep the roof rack bar for support, then you just unscrew 4 screws holding the rooftop tent and remount the bars. Here's the Gladiator all built up as a crawler. The heavier battery sits up front and as low as possible. The lighter ESC is in the rear, sitting in between the chassis. I have removed the unnecessary ESC and the battery tray and the rooftop tent. With the LCG battery tray in the front, I'm able to angle the shock inwards, increasing the effective travel. Without the stock battery tray in the rear, I can move the rear shock tower by 1 hole, allowing the rear shock to be angled, increasing effective travel. One thing, the holes don't light up. It's a little bit bigger than the normal holes. So I used a combination of 1 screw in the front and 2-sided tape behind the chassis to mount the shock tower, and it's not going anywhere. Now that we have shifted the weight around a bit and removed some unnecessary weight, let's see where the Gladiator sits. The Gladiator now weighs 374.5 grams, and the weight distribution is now at the ideal 60% front and the 40% rear weight distribution. Hope you found the information helpful and useful. If you like the contents of this video, please make sure to subscribe and hit the like and the notification bell to be notified when new contents are uploaded. Thanks for watching Big Hobbies.